Welcome in. I'm your host, Lauren Leal, and here with us today is Boris Sanchez of Sanmore Investments to tell us about his company, Sanmore. So Boris, talk to us about Sanmore Investments.
Thank you, Lauren, for having me today. Sanmore Investments is a commercial real estate firm. It really is divided into two separate companies. So one side we do the ownership and operation of over 500 units here in Houston. And on the other side, we do brokerage. So really, it was founded on actually us just owning and operating our own apartment complexes, but we kind of started offering that to friends and family and clients, and so they were always telling me, how do you start in commercial real estate? Can you tell me more about that? So we started that brokerage to actually guide clients to actually invest in commercial real estate as well.
Wow, so how long have you been doing real estate and how did you get started?
Okay, I've been in real estate for about 11 years. I was actually first a mortgage broker, and I started kind of learning about the products and then learning about residential and commercial. But really what intrigued me the most was the valuation behind a commercial property. So I started investing in commercial property that actually gave me a return back, not just like a home is just like flip or just rent or owner finance. So actually commercial gave me more options than residential.
And what you do, I feel like it's a win-win for both investing and for the client, right?
Yes, very much so. It's a win-win for the client because they actually get to know and to be educated on the process of actually owning and operating some of these apartment complexes, some of these commercial properties. So what we do with Sanmore Investments is we package deals up. For example, we will give you a 12-unit complex and say, here's this 12-unit complex. And instead of us saying it's $500,000, go figure it out, we say, here's a 12-unit complex, bring us $25,000 at closing, and the deal and the loan and the education are yours.
And so you said 11 years of experience in
Correct.
Real estate.
Mm-hmm.
How did it all begin 11 years ago?
Oh, well, thank you. It's a good question. I came back from my master's degree I got in London, England. And I wasn't going to come back. I was actually just saying goodbye to my family and saying, all right, cool, just kind of see you guys later. I'm going to go live in London. And my brother actually convinced me to stay and join the family company. Then kind of just taught me the ropes on residential real estate and loans and how to be a mortgage broker. So from then on, it just kind of took off from there. My mortgage career was paved in front of me.
Yeah, and you speak about your family business. Now, a lot of people may ask, do your parents come from money? Did they help invest or start, Sanmore Investments? Were they involved with this?
Yeah, my parents didn't have any money, or really not a lot of money growing up. We actually made our way to the States back in 1995. My mom, for example, was a very successful lawyer in Colombia, but when you move here, none of those credits, the career is validated. You have to kind of start all over again. So she had to do whatever it takes to bring her kids forward and then bring more success to her life and her kids' lives. So we grew up, very humble beginnings, and she started the company Gold Quest Group after she got laid off from Enron.
Wow.
From back in the year 2000. So that's why we're in Houston to begin with, but actually it worked out because she decided to start a real estate company then, and it's actually in operation and ran by my brother, who's actually a very successful mortgage broker himself. And so yeah, it's been growing since then. Sanmore Investments is my own company. I own that 100%, and we're focused more on commercial multifamily investments, actual investments, not loan brokerage as much.
I love how you started out with family and it's continued that way from the very beginning.
Correct.
How many units or buildings would you say you've worked with now?
Yeah, we've been thankful to have brokered, I would say, over $100 million in apartment complexes and commercial property.
Wow.
Just the same in loans. So yeah, we've been able to actually extend what we do to our clients and be better able to kind of serve them because we actually own apartment complexes and we are in the trenches ourselves. So we're better able to and better positioned to actually be able to educate our clients on this.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. Speaking of educating your clients, 11 years of experience, give us some tips.
Sure, no problem. So 11 years of experience have taught me to just kind of be patient. Real estate is a patience game. It's not a hurry up and get it done kind of game. So for those folks that are just saying, I have a bunch of cash, it's burning a hole in my pocket, what do I do with it? I have to dump it somewhere. I am big on actually waiting and being patient for the right deal. And actually that's kind of where what I like to talk about nowadays is how to actually maximize your return, not by actually investing in something that gives you a percentage return, but actually something that multiplies your investment. And I think commercial real estate and the way we have structured some of these deals to be active investors into it, not just passive, you'll actually multiply your investment instead of just earning a return from it.
You speak about waiting for the right opportunity, for the right moment. Everyone knows right now prices are through the roof. Would you recommend investing at this time?
Absolutely, I would. I think now more than ever, people have to be creative about how first they find deals, how they are financing them, and then just kind of have to trust their analysis, trust their education to actually identify some of these opportunities. In more than one example that I can give you in my career, we have acquired property that has been passed by with everybody in town. Everybody in town has passed on to this opportunities, and we have taken them on because we see them in a different light. For example, I have a 100-unit complex that started off as a 72-unit complex that needed absolutely everything. It needed
all the renovations.
All the renovations. It needed the roof, the foundation, the walls. It needed everything. It just kind of needed a complete repair. But so instead of actually us looking at it as a 72-unit complex, we started looking at it as 100 units. We can divide some of these huge units into studios and 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. So we can just kind of better take advantage of the space that the property has and being able to renovate it while we're doing that.
And your company deals with the contractors and all of the renovations, is that correct?
That's correct, yes, they do. We have hired our own contractors lately, although for beginning investors, I would really recommend getting with someone who actually can get the job done. And from years and years of hiring contractors, my number one tip for folks would be make sure you're hiring somebody that's gonna work on site. So a lot of contractors out there might say, oh, I'm trying to manage the operations for several different projects, but as a contractor or as an owner myself, it's always kind of worked out whenever I hire someone to work directly on site that's responsible, and that kind of gives me feedback every day on what's going on and what the new developments are and improvements. So definitely hire somebody.
Like a superintendent, you have somebody that oversees the site every day and is out there, not just a guy who says, oh, I have a group of guys that'll be out there doing
Exactly,
it.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody is actually going to be even hammer and nails, going out there and fixing things and being the project leader. And now we've gotten to the point that I've hired our own crew and my own project manager, and so we've been able to see a lot of savings, especially now that materials are through the roof and labor is really expensive. We've been able to see a lot of savings by saving the contractor fee usually.
Boris, do you believe in crowdfunding or syndication? And for those who don't know, can you explain what those two are?
Sure, absolutely. So syndication is crowdfunding. It's when, and it's a very popular way to invest right now. It's when you have a sponsor that goes out and starts seeking investments from folks, more often than not somebody that's experienced or family or friends, to invest in their project. So that may be a 200 unit complex, for example, and they're trying to crowd fund that down payment so they can take that project down, seek the debt and the loan that they need, and being able to kind of pass along a return on your money. So that being said, I don't believe in it because I believe in opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is like what you're giving up in order to do something, right? So sometimes, again, with what the previous question was, being patient. So if you're patient enough, you can actually invest in something that's not going to give you an actual return like syndication would. Syndication gives you a return average of about 8 to 12%. But with being an active investor in the industry, you can actually multiply 2, 3, 4 times your investment. So it's a way better play.
Wow, super interesting. Now, if you are out there and you want to invest in a property, you mentioned a 72 unit, you were envisioning 100 units. How do you know when something's good enough to invest in it versus it being torn down? What are you looking for?
Sure. So I have invested in a lot of buildings that anybody would say, oh, that's ready to be torn down. One of my latest examples, I have an 8-unit complex over by the University of Houston area. And if you were to look at that before I started, it had a tree growing out of the middle of the property.
Wow.
And it didn't have a roof or anything like that. Everybody would look at it and it's a tear down. But what we did is we went in and renovated it from the ground up. So it's like a brand new construction, but instead of that, we kind of borrowed the existing shape of the building, right? But then actually rebuilt the whole thing from foundation all the way to the rooftop.
Wow. And that, I mean, that's more money that you have to put into it. What if you aren't willing to do something like that?
I mean, if you're not willing, it's probably because the deal doesn't make sense numbers-wise. So I would always say that trust your numbers, trust somebody that's actually been doing it for a while, like the Sanmore Investments team. We actually take the numbers, take the analysis of the project and see if it does make sense because, it's very expensive to do right now. It's very extensive, so it takes a lot of time to get a project like this done. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that the numbers work out and that you're actually going to be profiting, obviously way more than you invested.
Now, this may seem like a simple question, but to those who are starting out with different properties, whether it be residential or commercial that they're looking for, they should come to you. But if they're looking at different properties to flip, to revamp, how important is it to have an inspector and not just yourself go through and identify this is what needs to be changed and this is how I'm going to do it?
Sure, absolutely. I think having an inspector is important. I think that obviously I've never seen a very good inspection where the inspector says everything is good, right? Mm-hmm. From the seller side, you hate to see it. From the buyer side, you love to see that, right? But when you're actually looking at a deal to buy, especially in multifamily, it is very important that you know the inner workings, what's behind the walls. That's mostly what you want to find out is how solid these studs are, how solid the electrical and plumbing is, and how many problems is it going to give you. So that, from that perspective, I highly recommend an inspector. I think that the cheapest way you can actually get that done, because inspections can be costly,
right, is
to actually just go out and send a plumber or an electrician to give you bids on fixing the plumbing, fixing the electrical system. And most of those are free. Those bids are free. So I would say, and if you're going to that, I would say make sure that you're hiring somebody that's gonna work directly on site, like I said. So an electrician, hiring an electrician or a plumber directly from when you're starting to look at the deal is very important.
So how many properties did you start with, and how many have you grown to now?
So I started with residential, as I said. I used to flip houses at the very beginning of my career. And I just did not like it because I felt like residential only gives you 3 options. You can only rent, sell it, flip it, or owner finance it, and no combination of the 3. In commercial real estate, it's completely the opposite. The fuller an apartment complex is, the more that the cash flow that a property brings, the more attractive it is going to be for an investor. So, for example, in a home, if you were to buy it and then fix it up and rent it out and then try to sell it, most people that are looking for homes are not looking to actually take on a tenant, on an existing tenant. Mm-hmm. They're looking to move in the home. Mm-hmm. But that's completely opposite in commercial. So that part attracted me, where I had cash flow coming from a property, if I went to put it in the market, I didn't really mind if it was under 20 months. I was still making cash flow every month, instead of actually kind of hoping and praying that I'll get an offer today, you know.
Right, so commercial's definitely the way that you went, and you're happy with it.
Right, yeah, exactly. And sorry, I didn't mean to ignore your question. So we started in 1, and then my first apartment complex was an 8-unit complex that I kind of stumbled on. I just was looking to make $1,000 on that apartment complex and cash flow per month. I ended up buying it for $140,000. I spent $60,000 renovating it. Came to closing with only $10,000 using the hard money program that Sanmore Investments offers. And about a year later, sold it for $450,000, realizing about a $250,000 profit. That's
incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
And that was your first commercial deal?
And that was my very first commercial deal. So it was then that I realized, yeah, okay, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Absolutely, yeah. You see the cash flow, you see it happening, of course, the success, that's incredible. So how many, where are the areas that you work in now? Is it just in Houston, Texas?
It is in Houston right now. We are brokering properties, not just multifamily. We're brokering all commercial properties in Houston. If you're looking to buy in Houston, any commercial property, please visit our website, sanmore.com. We have listed all our deals there for sale. And like I said, we package deals up. So a lot of the times we're able to say, okay, Lauren, here's, again, a 12-unit complex, $500,000. Instead of me telling you that it's a $500,000, go figure it out. We'll say, hey, it's a 12-unit complex, but we've already figured out the loan part for you. Go ahead and bring me $25,000 at closing, and the whole deal is yours. So we can do that for most of our deals that we have listed online.
You make it super simple.
Yes, we do.
The person finds the project, they bring it to you, and it's out of their hands.
We try, that's right.
That's incredible. All right, well, can you tell people one more time how they can get a hold of you and what the first steps to take are?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, if you're looking to invest in the Houston area, please do reach out to us. Please visit us on our website, sanmore.com. Send me an email. Feel free to send me an email at boris@sanmore.com. Please let me know how we can help you get your projects done.
Boris Sanchez, thank you so much for joining us today to tell us and break down everything about Sanmore Investments, incredible things that you're doing, and good luck with your business.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.